Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I'm excited to be back for another episode of our Stitch Along. And so as part of the Stitch Along, we're creating different stitches in each episode on pieces of fabric or on a larger piece of fabric that will be creating an A to Z dictionary of stitches. So today we're going to be doing backstitch. Now it's a stitch that's probably familiar to most people. If you're starting out, you might not have heard of it. But what is interesting is there's a few different forms of backstitch. So in the book that we're working through, A to Z of embroidery, it has a version of backstitch, but that's not actually the version of backstitch that I typically do. So I did a bit of research, and indeed they are both forms of backstitch. And one of the forms is particularly good, the one in the book is particularly good if you're wanting to make a really strong stitch. And then the version that I typically do is good if you want to conserve your floss a bit more. And also I find it just gives me a bit of a better finish when I'm creating shapes and letters. It's not quite as sort of loopy looking to me. So I'll start with the one from the book, and what you can see in the background here, I just love it, so I had to show it to you, is the printing that I did yesterday using flowers and leaves from the garden, where you pound them with a mallet or a hammer and they transfer their colours onto fabric. And so this was a silk remnant. And there's a video on this, so you've probably already, possibly already seen it, but I just love it. And just looking at the colours in my upstairs craft room, a bit different from yesterday down in the kitchen where I was doing it. And these were the ones that I did quite quickly to just do a mass transfer. So some of them have come out slightly more sort of fuzzy than when I did them each individually, but I just love it. The nasturtium leaves, the pansies, these really interesting leaves that transfer a bit of red and then green. Just fascinating, the leaves of the cosmos. Anyway, we're here to stitch, so I'll stop going on about the backing fabric. So let's start with the form of backstitch from the book. And what I've done here is just drawn myself a line with my friction marker. You could just stitch by eye as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop up just a little bit along the line that we want to be stitching on. So I've tied a thread in my piece of embroidery floss. Well, this is actually a piece of crochet cotton. So we're going to pop up from the back, and then we're going to pop down at the start of the line, so a bit back from where the stitch was, and then pop out the equal distance down the line. So we're coming in before where that first pop out was, and then we're going an equal distance in front of that. I knew I was going to get caught on I should keep my fabric this way. No, it's still going to catch. There we go. So you've got your first stitch there. Now we're going to go back again to where that last stitch was, and we're going to pop our needle out in front like that. So every time you're going back and you're going a bit further in front. Let me pull it through, always catching on the corners. I figured I didn't need to do this one in an embroidery hoop. So again, just get that to sit flat, and then we're going to go back again. And as I say, this might be very familiar to you, either this one or the other one, or both of them. But yeah, as I say, I've typically actually done the other version of backstitch that I'll be showing you in a moment. So again, we're just doing that stitch, and I'll just lay it down and pull it so we get a sort of flatter surface. And I'll show you what the back looks like in a few moments. So again, we're going to go backwards in behind it and in front of it in a single pull. Now there is this technique as well you can do where you take the needle up and down more times, but this is definitely the quicker version of it because you're doing sort of the front and the back stitch all in one go. Oops. It is quicker if you can get your needle to come out where you want it. Do one more, then we'll have a look at the back. So that's what the back ends up looking like, which is actually overlapping stitches, and that's why it's a particularly strong stitch. But as you can see, it uses a fair bit of floss. Now in the method that's a bit slower of this same method, you would just be taking your needle down in one and then going forward in another and then back down in a single. So it's sort of the single punch, I guess you would call it, method, rather than doing those sort of double strokes or those double movements in a single sort of push of the needle. So that's just the up and down method, so that does take longer. I'll just go back to doing the other method for the rest of the line. Oops, nope. So where are we? No, so I now need to go back to get myself out. And so then to start the other method, you're going to go down with the needle. Oops, find my point on the line. You're going to jump your tip forward, and then in a single stitch you're going to essentially be doing 2 stitches. So it is just that sort of doubly quick method. So I'm trying to keep my line straight and peering past the camera. So I hope you're all having a great day or a great evening. I'm filming this on Sunday. I'm planning to get a few videos done today before the working week starts. And it is mighty windy. I took Travis the dog down to the dog park earlier today, but there were no dogs down there, and I took my sunglasses off at one point, and my eyes just started to water. There was so much wind. They were just watering something chronic. So I put the sunglasses back on, even though I didn't really need them. There was not a lot of sun about today. It's a bit of a grey one. But I did think it's rather windy, so I'm going to hang out a load, I keep saying gonna, I've got to speak properly. I'm going to hang out a load of washing on the line and see if the wind will do its magic. Because it's not super cold today, so I might be able to get it dry. I'll have to check the forecast to make sure there's no surprise showers on the way. Okay, so one last stitch back just to finish that line. And then I won't make you watch me tie that off. I'll leave that to tie off later. Oh, actually, no, I probably should do it. Otherwise, I will actually get caught. I'll get caught. My thread's caught together. So let's get that done. Okay. Just get a new piece of floss. I'll use that one for a shorter task, just so I don't run out of floss while we're doing the single line. It's a lovely turquoise blue. So I figured for my letter B's, I'm going to use some browns and blues and oranges, I think, as a mixture together. Just working through all my little lovely scraps of cotton and cotton linen. So yeah, that's the back of it. So you can see lots of overlapping stitches. Now we're going to do the method that I've always done myself. And I don't even know if I was ever taught. I'm assuming I was probably taught by my mum or Nana. Not sure. So with this method, I'm going to start right at the very start of the line. I'm then going to go forward whatever length of stitch you want to go forward. And then I'm going to jump forward from there, and I'm going to bring the stitch back to where the stitch went down. And because I've just come back, I'm now going to go forward to where I went down. So I'm never going up and down through the same holes, because that way you risk pulling it, or you will sort of pull your thread out. So I've gone forward So now I'm going to jump forward another stitch so I can bring my next stitch back. So in this method, it's actually like a back forward stitch, if that makes sense. And I'll get a few more done and I'll show you how it looks different on the back. So it's going to look the same on the front, but I think it actually gives to me, it always gives a flatter look than if I do the other method. So I'm coming out, going forward again because my last stitch was a back. So I'm going forward. And then the next time I come out of the fabric, I'll be bringing the thread back. And this definitely conserves floss as well. And I just think it's a better finish for going around letters and things. But you might not be able to tell the difference on the front. For me, it's just a better finish. So forward one, back one, that's the motion that you go through. And let me show you what that looks like. So what you're getting on the back instead is you're actually getting like a running stitch, but with double in each of the spots. But it sits quite flat, whereas this one to me just has that little bit more bubble to it. And if you ever need to see where you're up to, you can see with this one you're back here, so you can actually then pop out the hole at the front because you won't be pulling your thread out. So we're going to go forward. So I probably should turn it back the way I had it. So we're going forward along the line. Now we need to jump forward and bring the thread back in this next stitch. So just keep that in your mind. Okay, my thread on the front's going back, and then the next stitch it can go forward. And because I've just done a forward, the next stitch we'll need to bring in the thread back. And possibly because I'm going up and down rather than doing multiple motions with my needle at the one time, maybe that's also contributing to the line just ending up a bit flatter and a bit more controlled. But certainly if you're wanting to do a stitch for strength, then the first version that I shared is probably the one to go for. So that last stitch was a bit bodgy. I'm just going to take that one out. Didn't quite join up where it was meant to. Okay, just re-thread. So it's very exciting to have the letter A done. And I am just giving thought to whether I will. I saw one of my subscribers mention that they're going to put some batting potentially between their pages. And yeah, I was thinking yesterday I might use some fusible fleece or some batting as well, just to give the pages a bit of extra bulk. Or some sort of interfacing maybe, just to, so they're not so flimsy. Unless I can repurpose something I've got around, but I think I've got some thinner interfacing, but it's a more flexible interfacing, so I don't know if that would be any good. Just do 2 more stitches to finish the line, and then we can take a look at them. So again, when you're not using a hoop, always just lay it flat, pull it out. So both methods create, an interesting effect on the back. Sometimes it's almost as interesting what happens on the back as what happens on the front. And in fact, I think as someone else observed, sometimes stitches, you can do a similar stitch on the back that creates something that looks like another type of stitch. Just get rid of that extra tail there too. Okay, so that's how the back looks with my second version. So all of them are just double bits of thread, except for the the last little, oh no, the starting tie off, and then the last one, yeah, is that double as well? Can't actually see, I think it is double. And then this one has the very overlapping back, and then that's how they look on the front. So to me, the lower one, and it may just be my proficiency with using that one, but the one on the front, I think just because it has all those loops, it does just end up a little bit more bobbly to my look. So that is a Backstitch. Now next up in our stitch book, we are going to be moving on to blanket stitch. Actually, what I will do is I'll just talk you through the different types of blanket stitch that we're going to be doing, because there's going to be a number of variations to it. So we're going to be doing pinwheel, double, detached, detached twisted, long and short, looped, and scallops. So I'm planning to use a larger piece of fabric that I can actually just put blanket stitch written in the middle and then do those different variations around it, so I don't have to write blanket stitch multiple times on different ones. So I just wanted to let you know that's my plan. And so what I probably do, I'll make it the size of a 1 page, or if I'm going to run out of room, a 2nd page spread in my dictionary of stitches. So just wanted to give you the foresight of that, so you can think about how you want to work it on the fabric. And there'll be future ones coming up that I'll probably approach in a similar way of doing the writing of the stitch once and then having all the variations around it. So thanks for watching, folks, and I will see you soon with blanket stitch, and we'll just work on 1 variation per episode. I don't want to overwhelm anyone. I know some people are catching up. Some people have very, very busy lives. But yeah, you can probably do the writing of blanket stitch once, and then we can, in each episode, work on a different variation. Take care, everyone, and bye.